something I wanted to share with the experiences that I've been having. Because awakening is it's a process. You'll hear it everywhere. Well, at least I hear it from Eckhart that it's kind of like a wave, right? But eventually it does climb up. And one of the things I've been going through is, well, again, or sort of like, I sensed the reminder, and I was like, there were tears and everything, and you definitely felt it, and things just everything was just kind of less, everything was just sinking in, and it was synchronized. That I saw this video by this guy named Kasper. He looks like he has Polish background, but anyways, and talks about courage, and that's I'll share with you the link later about the his video. Go ahead and watch it. And I'll also share this video I saw with Eckhart. They coincide with the fact that everything is connected, but specifically when it comes to this whole experiencing the energies around us now, especially now, astrologically speaking, Ceres is still in Scorpio. So a lot of powerlessness. It's a view to it's time. It's causing people to look at themselves and look at their own powerlessness and how to really feel where real power comes through. And as I was watching these videos, it kind of came to me how, and it's not really a matter of the labels or like what we discover, what the planets represent, or whether this is astrology or whatever. The point is the messages are there. And the universe and everything that we are in it, including us, are getting these synchronous things happening, and we're getting messages. At least I'm getting these signs. Like, not only am I have been able to trust my intuition, like the physical, this body, but literally like intuition, you could call it like the download. And it reminded me of why I'm actually going back into astrology, but this time more through a real, genuine healing approach. And it came to me about how I came across this like link, and I forgot even how I came across it, but it was through astro.com, and they were talking about the higher octave of the higher octaves. So the list goes, the moon has higher octave. Its higher octave is Ceres, but the higher octave of Ceres is Sedna. Mercury goes to Uranus, as we know, and then to Makemake. Venus, Neptune, Haumea. Mars, Pluto, Eris. And then Jupiter and Saturn, I knew this somehow, that there has to be a higher octave of those. And then here comes this thing pops up, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, wow, okay. Like, it's, the signs are coinciding, like that I'm getting, the signs that I'm getting are coinciding with this thing that is just like, now it's, it's like I feel like, things are being heard, and there's definitely a connection. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. It's this wonderful feeling. I can feel it right now. It's like, this lightness, and this is why I do like these cold showers as well, or why I continue to do these cold showers. I don't know if you've seen it, but yeah, I do Wim Hof method, and it becomes easier to sense the vibrations of guidance, and it definitely feels like oh my god, I'm definitely like not alone. So it's like that whole egoic concept of me separateness, because when it is separate, when something is separate from the whole, it's going to be it's going to experience some form of, well, first there's a separation and then loneliness, right? But that's not true. That's kind of a polarity of the word one. Like with your oneness, are you saying oneness with yourself, one, or oneness, right? It's very interesting. And tying it to the things I discovered about these new planets that I've been working with, Sedna, Makemake, Haumea, Koar, Varuna, and I've been working a little bit with Eris. And even though they are new, some things are kind of popping up, and I feel like I'm getting these downloads through people and their experiences. Like, so for example, and this is not obviously like absolute, but I feel like we're going to go through, let's say, I'm going to go with Sedna for now. So let's say we go with Sedna. So Sedna, it's probably you've seen places, they'll talk about it as if it's about victimization, so transcendence, past cycles, those things. So kind of like, it's sort of like choice that is made through where you're going. Are you remaining asleep, or are you waking up? So a lot of it is awakenedness or awakening. So I came up with this, like, I'm kind of going with the book, using the sort of, I guess you can say, like the guideline sort of structure of from the book. What is this one? The Only Way to Learn Astrology. But I don't believe there's really the only one way, but what they're saying is like you start with that simple thing. But going with this, so said now for me was, this is what came up to me today, where we have to let go of egoic beliefs about what is nature and nurture. So it's also kind of like, it's awakening as well. So I'm going to put that actually here. Right? It's awakening from what we see as what is nurture, meaning like, because Sadhana is also destiny, but what I mean by destiny here, what destiny means is like, when we talk about nurture and nature, it's that feeling of like, it's a trust thing, right? So I would say like, it's an awakened trust in yourself, in your own ability to nurture. So it's definitely higher than series, where series is more about being your own parent, being your own child and parent, balancing that split and bringing it together, right? And then there's Makemake, which is higher vibration of Uranus, according to this website, of course. But I mean, I think it doesn't matter really which ones are which. Things will come along as they come along as they come along. So whether I get this wrong or not, that's the point. The point is, I think it's very interesting. So Makemake is manifestation, because it's the higher vibration of it's manifestation, basically, right? It's the power of thought here. So that's why it's like, but the power of thought is not just thought, it has a cosmic and biological or earthly material sort of power behind it, which is that. So here where we manifest through love. So manifestation really comes through connecting, right? So Makemake is basically like that. It's our like that. So again, this is, I'm this is not conclusive. These are just what it is. And then comes Haumea, high vibration of Neptune. Neptune is where we, right, so where we delude ourselves, have illusions. And this is the one that, oh, actually, no, not yet. This is where I got for this, what I got for this one was, it's where we get to relearn and re-understand our true creative power from within. And Eris, stated this one before, where we, what did I put here? Where we go through questioning, not questioning, where we, okay. It's where we experience awakening through personal reality, power, or rather, the understanding of power and choices, right? Where we experience awakening to personal reality, personal with collective reality. So it's social inclusion. I saw this from, if you guys know Pam, you look at her channel, she talks about it's social inclusion. So it's like, okay, so it's collective, so it's like unity. But this makes sense with Eris, right? Because it's like she it's a part of our psyche that I believe right now it's seeming like it seems like it's creates duality in order for there to be no duality. It allows for it. So this is the one that where I was watching Casper's I believe it's Casper's video about powerlessness. Eris is that part of our psyche that is allowing that to happen. We're learning to be more passive about the power. In other words, it's letting go of the egoic attachment to power and just allowing power itself to come over us and be the power itself. Because that's more creative, that is eternal, that is our true nature, that is our true essence. But that's what it is. So I feel like Eris is representing that. It's kind of like that trigger, that catalyst. And then core, Jupiter. Okay, core is, what did I put here? Where we allow cosmic creativity to lead. Because it's Jupiter, so it's creativity, but it's a kind of creativity towards, it's that allowing of, it's really like a higher, it's higher Jupiter. So that means it's allowing yourself to be more like expansive through that power, through that creative. It's no longer, you no longer become the creation itself, like you're one with creation, creativity, and the created. It's interesting. So, and finally Varuna, which is the high vibration, according to the website, of course, but it truly makes sense. Varuna is high vibration of Saturn. So where we let go of egoic beliefs about what is law and what is order. So that means so awakening to why and how there's an order itself. So basically, like, it's intelligence. This one I feel like because of these high vibrational planets, I feel like that's a part of us now that we're realizing that is, it feels like it's passive, but actually it's not. It's reconnecting. when I say reconnecting, is because we've kind of, we evolved to have the ego, and that's part of our evolution. So, and like when I more present, when I actually, it does take practice because we've been conditioned for such a long time. So now when I try to practice it, it's one of the gifts that I find now is from having having this Meniere's disease, or when I get dizzy, or not dizzy, it's there's a sort of a feeling, a sense of like, okay, like you can feel the sense of lightheadedness. It might come, but it's not lightheadedness. So it's a reminder to remain awakened and basically conscious. And so the slowing down thing that in one of the videos when they were recording Eckhart talk, how when you take your time, it's not taking time itself, it's honoring every single movement and it's the attention that is the attention is the one that brings it out rather than the thought. So, and I noticed this, it was like, it feels a lot like what I would consider the Varuna part of ourselves. It's natural order. Right? So I kind of connected the natural order sort of thing, meaning natural order like how it's supposed to be. Right? And it's funny because we talk about soul contracts, and for me, my experience is like when I tell people, I feel like the birth chart itself is your soul contract. And of course, it changes. There's progression charts and there's all those things. And it changes because we do change. But that's from the 3D thing, right? And also, but there's the natural order that's underneath it and above that. So I feel like all these natural laws, these so-called, well, in this case it's a law, so Varuna represents those. Right? But anyways, it's not an actual separate aspect. It's just like a pinpointed, labeled concept or aspect of this. The gift of astrology is to help us to understand. It's just basically like anything like out there, like knowledge. But it's not the end all be all. It's a guide. It's a map. Right? And when you have a map, you don't need to know everything where you're going. You can't know everything, because otherwise, the 3D can't handle it. This dimension can't handle all of it. Meaning all of it is like eternal. It can't. It has to be contained, and that's the thing. But through that containment, it's allowing itself, the universe is allowing itself to go through that. And that's where the revelation comes in. It learns through itself, when it's a realization of itself. Like right? We are the rays of the sunlight. That's the analogy of Eckhart, that he says the sunlight is our 3D form, basically. The sun is the formless, in other words, our source. So it never, ever is disconnected. We come to see that as disconnected. So it kind of ties in with how, when we look at astrology itself, it's not a disconnection. It's a tool that appears disconnected, but really it's just little. It's like the multiple shades of color. You cannot just say yellow is yellow is yellow. There's different shades of it. But it's also a spectrum, right? Yellow turns into yellow-orange, or orange, and then orange, red-orange, and then red, and then, I don't know, purplish, violet, and then bluish, and then a light bluish green kind of like. You see that there's a spectrum, and even within those, there is no. It's a continuum, and that's represents itself. Everything is a continuum. We perceive it as not being a continuum because of all these separations we've had. That's what the ego is, it's separation. But there will come a time when humans have become completely detached, literally detached from the ego and detached itself. It's very wonderful. Like, we become now attached. We will come back to source. And not because of us as a species or anything else, but all forms itself, right? And that's the thing. It's a beautiful thing, right? The universe is a conscious thing. So there will be a different spectrum, in this case. In part of this whole continuum, we're not necessarily going to be like, oh, it's the end of humanity, and then what? No, it's not. That's not the end. There's no beginning and the end. It's a delusion. Right? And just for fun, I feel like now, because Haumea is the higher vibration of, could be the higher vibration of Neptune. Yeah, it talks about this link I saw from Astrocom. It also talks about Haumea as self-renewal, so rebirth of illusions of perception. It doesn't say there that's what it is, but yeah, the egg of creation, bounty and wealth, eternal youth. So that ties in a lot with the, because if Neptune is kind of like in a way, these secondary, so-called secondary higher vibrations act as kind of like, now there's a renewed form of the other higher vibration. There's always going to be a high vibration of something, and it's always going to be, it's a spectrum in itself. So everything is basically a spectrum. Everything is a continuum. Everything is continuous. Everything is eternal. It just appears like this form. Like if you break it down to the most basic level, your hands, your body, this laptop I'm using, this flag behind me, at its most fundamental level, that's that. Right? And it ties in to directly with this presence thing. In the video that I saw again today with Eckhart Tolle, he talks about this person who said that their mother has been criticizing them, and it's all fictitious. It's all it's all the concoction of the ego, the mind itself, the attachment to form. So it ties in with the whole, like when we're present, presence isn't just being here, it's the being of connection. You can't put it in words. It's very interesting. But when we are in a state of connectedness through presence, it's like the understanding is the acceptance, that passiveness, that release of the egoic beliefs, and it all ties in with the videos I've been seeing, the messages, the signs, these this thing I saw about high vibrations, my personal experience, the Meniere's disease kind of thing. It's when it ties in also with now I see why it's like, oh, and that's why I'm in languages. It's the creativity, the acceptance, the death, the powerlessness that I experience through not what I want, but through the gifts that come through when I allow myself, this form, to connect and be, literally used and be a vessel for that expression. You know, it ties in with why children, as I've said before, like they're good at, well, at least in a minute level, like languages, because it's not about the language, it's not about just communication or culture or even acquisition itself. It's that natural thing. Again, it ties back into here, ties back to acceptance, ties back to this astrology thing, ties back to the signs that we get, ties back to guidedness, ties back to everything in this whole continuum of experiences. So bit by bit, you start to, the form, you, me, the separated conditioned state, even that we start to understand it little by little. But once we become more childlike in that complete, like real, like, you can call it surrender, the powerlessness, it's that, again, that continuum of flow. It becomes acceptance, it becomes love. Okay? That thing we call passive. And it ties in with the fluency thing, because what is fluency? It's flow, right? But it's continuum as well. So there's no separation. This is why there is fluency. So by tying back to source, we were, like when we're children, when we're toddlers or even younger, there is no attachment. And those are the first 2 years or 3 years of a child's, of the human life, of the 3D life. But it's it's amazing. It's like, you can tell, you can sense it. If you allow it, you can sense it, that it's like that. It's awesome. And this is the thing I think that I'm supposed to bring back, but not through lecturing, not through any of that egoic stuff, but just doing what I'm doing. And eventually, there's a reason why I got into Slovak, why I'm now going to, maybe it's Ukrainian, I don't know. Using these tools, I become a tool with the tool. And it's part of the whole process. And even itself, awakening itself is a continuum. So it all ties in together. It's a wonderful thing. I don't know how else to explain it. I think it's really an experience thing. So this now brings into light more things to, more, it's a revelation of things. And knowledge is just the aftermath, but the experience itself. So how courage is tied to powerlessness, and how it's tied to acceptance and being in line, so therefore powerful, and therefore creative, and therefore love, and therefore fluent, and therefore in the continuum, therefore it's like this, it's a circle. Right? So wonderful. It's allowing, it's that trust, is that courage as well. Surrendering, really what it is. So, in any case, I wish you all well. That's it. I don't know. Thank you very much for watching.